Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. District Court of Nevada ordered the Small Business Administration to release the notorious memo instructing the Treasury to disperse the $1,000 per employee grants for the economic injury disaster loan instead of the full $10,000 grant for every applicant. The document also reveals little-known qualifications for the economic injury disaster loan. Here it is. On April 7th, 2020, the director of the Office of Grants Management at the SBA, Kimberly S. Butler, sent this memo to Tammy Perriello, the Chief Financial Officer. She is in charge of having the Treasury disperse economic injury disaster loans and grants into your bank accounts. Under the section titled Verification, Ms. Butler writes how the Small Business Administration contracted RER Solutions for identity verification, data validation, and fraud detection services. The Small Business Administration awarded RER Solutions with a $500 million contract so it can process economic injury disaster loans. According to the New York Times, RER Solutions is working with Rocket Loans to process these loans. FYI, the founder of Quicken Loans and the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Dan Gilbert, also founded Rocket Loans. Through Quicken Loans, Mr. Gilbert donated $750,000 to Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. It was the biggest corporate donation coming out of Michigan. So the verification section reads, first bullet, EIDL applications collected through the Rapid Intake COVID-19 EIDL web form will be forwarded for processing to Rapid Decision Automated Processing Platform configured and programmed in accordance with SBA Office of the Chief Financial Officer requirements as follows. So the Rapid Intake application, that's basically the streamlined application that has the checkbox on the lower left where you can request the grant for up to $10,000. Here's the key thing. They wanted RER Solutions to weed out duplicates, so the SBA wouldn't be paying out multiple grants to the same entity. So remove duplicates, remove applicants previously funded under COVID-19 EIDL and the Disaster Loan Management System, perform fraud checks. I'll calculate eligible advance amount based on logic provided by SBA. You'll read about that logic most of you already know about. Applications that are not duplicates and not excluded based on fraud rules will be periodically placed in a batch file, including fields required for processing through the Office of the Chief Financial Officer. Each batch file will include a batch code, and the batch file will be sent to the Office of the Chief Financial Officer for funds check and creation of Payment Automation Manager PAM compliant file. Basically, once RER Solutions performs all of its checks on the applications that it's processing through a system that we'll read about later on, then it packages all these applications on which it's already performed its analysis and send that over to the CFO, Ms. Perriello, so she can have the Treasury disperse the loans and advances into your bank accounts. Now, take note of these fraud check indicators, because here is where Ms. Butler lists these little-known qualifications for the economic injury disaster loan. Read this first rule. If any one of the bolded fraud indicators in the verification process are triggered, or any three bolded or non-bold indicators are triggered, the application will not be included in a batch file. If any of these issues in bold arise, it could potentially hold up your application, because your application won't be included in that batch file that RER Solutions eventually sends out to the CFO for disbursement of funds. Large number of applications for this program, several in succession. If you're applying for the economic injury disaster loan multiple times, it could potentially hold up your application. Owner information failed, validation, information does not match, person is listed as deceased, etc. Some people have applied with names of dead people. If, for instance, your information is not valid, it doesn't match with whatever records they have on the business, then they also will hold up your application. RER Solutions can't package it with that batch file that they ultimately send out to the CFO's office for disbursement. Client location is international. You should be in the United States. Your business should be located in the United States. Digital identity fraud, suspicious online behavior. The data has been used fraudulently online. VoIP, phone number. This may cause a number of issues because practically every client with which I work uses a VoIP phone number. Of course, it's not one of the bold issues nonetheless, so this issue would have to arise with two other issues that are not in bold. Phone number is not associated with business or owner. This may be the same process when you are applying for business financing. When you apply for business financing, lenders will typically look up 411 and see if you are listed and your phone number matches the number on 411. For some lenders, not all lenders, or for some forms of commercial financing. Email has not passed validation. It's not a valid email. Invalid bank account number and or routing number. I know this has caused a problem for a number of people. So if you have this problem, call SBA, ask for a tier 2 representative so you can correct this right away. Bank account ownership does not match business. You cannot enter your personal banking information. The bank account number and the routing number should be under the name of the business. Unable to confirm business registration. When I first applied with the long form, I had to produce my incorporation papers. Any approved disbursements where the bank account number and routing number are valid and indicate that the account can receive a deposit, but the EIN/SSN, the employer identification number, and the social security number can't be authenticated are authorized. So as long as you pass this fraud check, even if your employer identification number or your social security number is not authentic, they can still package your application into that batch file that they ultimately send out to the CFO so she can put it through the Treasury for disbursement of funds. A report for awards at the $10,000 value shall be provided to the Office of Grants Management within 60 days after the EIDL Advanced Program has completed its last disbursement. So they want to inspect every single grant of $10,000 with a fine-tooth comb, which is probably what's created a problem for them to give out the $10,000 grant to each particular applicant, as the SBA has said they would do initially before they introduced the following rule that everybody loves to hate: payment amount. The total disbursement amount for each record included in the payment file is calculated based on the following logic. If number of employees is 0, then amount is $1,000. Otherwise, if number of employees is greater than 10, then amount is $10,000. Otherwise, amount is number of employees times $1,000. The total disbursement amount for each advance file is the sum of the individual disbursements amount for each record on the file. Based on the procedures outlined above and in accordance with Section 1110 of Pub L, this is basically the CARES Act, and the streamlined procedures noted under 2 CFR. I, Kimberly S. Butler, authorize the disbursement of all records verified, validated, and approved, and from RER Solutions to the Office of the Chief Financial Officer. And she signs right there. So let me know in the comments section below, has the SBA or its contractor stopped your application from getting approved, potentially because of any of the red flags that these documents list? Watch my economic injury disaster loan playlist to see what I went through in order to secure my economic injury disaster loan. Watch this video right here about the stimulus package and the economic injury disaster loan and everything that public officials have lined up. Click the like button if you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Talk soon.